Hey guys, Asher coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video, guys. Glad to have you here, chilling with me, talking a little bit of Raid Shadow Legends. Listen, if you're going through something right now, recognize that you'll get through it. I mean, in a week from now, in a month from now, heck, probably in a year from now, whatever's bothering you right now likely won't even be on your mind. We get to control how we internalize any situation, anything that's bothering us. Sometimes, I'll tell you a quick, 10-second story. I went to a sporting event with a friend and a couple of the people who I didn't know, and for whatever reason, I was on edge the whole time. I don't think I was a jerk, but I wasn't my jovial self for whatever reason. And I don't know why, but I was internalizing everything and I was just in a bad mood. And that happens obviously from time to time. But then I got to thinking after the fact, dude, I had the power in that moment to just kind of change how I felt about the situation, but I let that inner voice kind of take control of things. We always have the power to control how we feel, even if, justifiably we're upset about something, But anyway, guys, nice reminder to always, recognize that, especially, again, if you guys are going through something right now. So, revivers. Every team needs a good reviver, right? Or at least most teams. Geez, I rarely even enter the arena without a reviver on any of my squads, especially live arena right now. Revivers have always been a quintessential part of a well-balanced team in Raid Shadow Legends, but I feel like for the most part, with some exceptions, they continue to become more and more important as the game goes on. It's been a long, long time since we've done a video outlining my favorite revivers in the game. We have this dude, Mini Dragbike, says you need to do a best healer reviver in the game. I have Pythion, Raka, Elva, and many more. Well, an embarrassment of riches, Mr. Mini Dragbike.
It's mine, all mine.
We're going to talk about a couple of those champions in today's list, but what I wanted to do is instead of just sharing the top 15 revivers in the game, I wanted to give you the top 5 in every rarity, obviously rare, epic, and legendary. To my knowledge, no uncommon or common revivers in the game, so even if they were out there, I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about them, right? We're going to also give a couple honorable mentions on both, or at least on epic and legendary, because there's a lot of solid revivers out there. But this way, at least covering the rares and the epics as well, it gives you some versatility when building your faction war team, or if you're a new player starting out as well. There's actually some really competent rare revivers, so let's just jump into it. I wouldn't necessarily say that this is one of them, but this is number 5. I'm going to rate them from 5 to 1 in each rarity. Number 5 on the dwarves, guys, is going to be Master Butcher. He's kind of a fill-in champion, I'm not going to lie to you guys, because there's only 4 solid rare revivers. So Master Butcher gets added to the list as kind of an add-on.
I'm not going to cry over it. I did that in the car on the way home.
He has a provoke on an enemy for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. One final kind of add-on before we jump into this is I'm ranking these champions by their overall kit, in addition to their revive, right? So, well, that will become more obvious as we go, but I wanted to kind of mention that out the gate, that I'm not only picking just their revive ability, but how much else they can bring to the table as well, because we care about that, obviously. But Master Butcher has Heat Exchange. When attacked, heals all allies equal to the amount of damage taken. Doesn't work against bosses, which is a bummer, but it's a nice little ability for a rare champion. And then we have a Pyre. Revives a random ally with full HP when this champion is killed. So, again, it's very conditional. He has to die first, but he does technically have a revive in his kit, so he is a reviver. He's number 5 on the list. Number 4 on the list for rare champions is going to be a old school lizard man, and it's Haruspex. Haruspex is not that bad, right? I've kind of, given him a little bit over time, but if you're looking for a reviver, especially in lizard men, you really have 2 options. You can get Broadmaw, who's a fusible champion, right? Or, fusion. He's a permanent fusion inside the game, and he has a double revive, right? So he's going to be your guy. But if you haven't fused him for whatever reason, you're looking for somebody who can add a little bit more, to your team in terms of survivability, well, in terms of revivability, I guess. Haruspex, right? He's got speed in arena battles by 15%, so you can use him in the arena as well. Revives a dead ally, 30% HP, fills a turn meter by 30% on a 5-turn cooldown. Nothing too great there on that revive, but he's got it, right? Also fills a turn meter of all allies by 15% with an increased speed. So again, he's kind of like he's a cross between a mediocre reviver or a bad reviver.
I don't really got no trophies. I don't know why God chose me.
And a little bit of an apothecary right in there. So he's a champion you can definitely take to level 50 to start out in the arena or in faction wars for lizard men. I would not advise you guys invest in him beyond that. But the top 3 revivers, these are champions that I would take to 60 if I needed them in rare. So Gear Grinder is number 3. I haven't mentioned this 100 times before here on the channel, but he has a decent amount of HP. So I throw him in a shield set or a bolster set, right? He's got an AoE heal, not a great heal, but a heal on a 3-turn cooldown on his A2. So he can be a great support healer in a shield set with the revive, 50% turn meter and 50% HP. That's actually not bad on a 5-turn cooldown for a rare. Getting that 50% turn meter, that's very good, again, for a rare champion here. So I would say that Gear Grinder is definitely a champion that I personally took to level 60 because you can even use him in some secret rooms in the end game as well of Raid Shadow Legends. There's some HP rare only secret rooms, or one of them, and he plays a pivotal role, right? He can pick up anybody who dies. So Gear Grinders definitely can be used in the early, kind of in the mid, and of course in the late game as well. And a more recent addition. I like when they add new revivers to the game, especially rare. Number 2 is going to be probably the most slept on, for my money, rare reviver in the game, or maybe a reviver in the game perhaps. But anyway, it is Grinner. So what's the deal with Grinner? First off, I want you to notice his speed. He's very, very fast, which is fantastic for a reviver. 110 base speed. He's tanky enough, 1100 defense. His HP isn't that great, but still, those are some really nice base stats to kind of take note of going into this. He also has this A1 Bile, right? Attacks one enemy. It's only a 25% chance, but it's a really nice addition to his kit. 25% chance of placing the big version of increased attack on all allies for 2 turns. Sometimes, either in faction wars or when we're just starting out, we don't have an increased attack buff at all on the team. Well, he's really got you covered with his A1 ability, right? Because all he has is an A1 and an A2 and then his revive. His A2, meaning he's going to be using his A1 quite a bit, so that increased attack is fairly dependable, especially if you have an ally attack or a counterattack champion on the team as well. It's a reason to pick up Retribution on this champion to get that counterattack, to put that increased attack up on all allies. And then Shock on a 3-turn cooldown when booked, right? Attacks a lot of books on this champion, but if you need a reviver, I think you could definitely invest in him and feel confident booking him out, right? An AoE attack, we have a 50% chance of removing a random buff from each target. Not bad at all. Again, very nice for Faction Wars or Doom Tower progression. You know, that's a really solid kit here. And then his Unbury. 4-turn cooldown, revives an ally 50% HP. Plays a shield buff on the revived champion for 2 turns, equal to 20% of their max HP. So it is a 4-turn cooldown, which isn't too bad. And 50% HP, no turn meter, but a little survivability built in there with that shield. So all in all, man, like definitely a serviceable reviver for a rare champion. Also, being Force Affinity is pretty handy in terms of a lot of the nukers, especially early game, mid game, are going to be Magic Affinity, so you get the Affinity mashup as well. And number 1, guys, to no surprise, she might not have the strongest revive, per se, out of all these champions, but you know that Reliquary Tender, to me, is a top 5 rare in the game.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go take a long, hot, steamy bath with just enough water to barely cover my perky bosoms. You're only gonna sit in an inch of water?
30% HP, turn meter filled by 30% on a 5-turn cooldown. Again, it's not the best revive, but it is a revive. And sometimes you just need a reviver on your team in case somebody falls one time, you can heal them back up and you're good. She does have a full cleanse and that heal in her kit as well. So Reliquary Tender is just an incredible champion for a rare with the Tender's Watch ability, right? Again, that full cleanse and a big version continuous heal and the revive just makes her a really, really robust support champion in really anywhere in the game. She also has the weak version of decreased attack on her A1, albeit coming at the cost of 9 levels. 8 books there. Luckily, the books go right to the cooldown on the A2 and the A3, but yeah, that A1, yucky. All right, moving on to the epics, guys. So with the epics, I want to start with an honorable mention. I almost put her at number 5 instead of the champion we're going to talk about right after her. It is Wiranon the Silken.
Wiranon.
Wiranon the Silken.
Wiranon. Very
cool new champion from the Sylvan Watchers. Now, I think that when Sylvan Watchers Faction Wars comes into the game, I'd rank her even a little bit higher, right? Because we're going to need a reviver, especially if we don't have Elva for Faction Wars, and she's got a great kit. 104, 1200, almost 1300 of defense, almost 18k on the HP. Good survivability, pretty good speed, right? On the A1, we have a decreased attack, big version, nice. On the A2, we have a fill the turn meter of all allies by 15%, and then a big version of increased speed. This is on a 4-turn cooldown. If this was on a 3-turn cooldown, I would probably put her at number 3 on the list. On a 4-turn isn't great, but still, it's nice to have from a reviver, right? Grace of Immortals is her revive. On a 4-turn cooldown, revives a dead ally 50% HP, 30% turn meter, also places a continuous heal buff on that ally for 2 turns. So 2-turn continuous heal is actually a really great heal, and then that 50% HP is really good survivability. Turn meter, we could ask for a little bit more, but still not a bad revive on a 4-turn cooldown. She also has speed and faction crypts by 20%, so she's going to be an amazing faction crypt champion to invest in for Sylvan Watchers. You can run her as your aura lead. She's got the increased speed, she's got the increased turn meter, and the revive, and the decreased attack for the red buff. So really, really solid there. Number 5, though, until Faction Wars opens up at least, is going to be good old Cardinal. Cardinal is such a niche champion. You gotta throw her in the stone skin, right? She does have the Mending Touch, which is a 30% heal, increased defense on 1 target on a 3-turn cooldown. Could be better, could be worse, right? But Redemption is what it's all about here. On a 5-turn cooldown, revives all dead allies, heals them by 25% of their HP, which is a very, very weak survivability, but boosting turn meter to max guarantees that they're going to go immediately, right? So filling turn meter versus boosting turn meter to max, it makes no sense like half the things in this game, right? But filling turn meter doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go next, because someone already might have a full turn meter on the other team and they would go next, right, after the revival. But boosting to max, which is the only champion that has that ability, right, guarantees they are going to go next. So that makes her very, very special. Everybody can die. She's in stone skin. She revives everybody. They all go immediately and they kill the enemy team in the arena. You can also use her for progression as well. So Cardinal comes in at number 5. Number 4 on the list is going to be, one of my personal favorites, guys. It is Rector Droth. Rector Droth is a beast. Just a great healer and a great reviver too, right? She's a 109 base speed, very fast. This floating devil, Rector Droth. I remember the very first day that I pulled her. It was on a video like years ago, whatever. And I was like, wow, he looks so amazing. Dude, I heard it in the comments. They're like, it's a she, it's a she. My bad, couldn't tell necessarily. Usually they make it pretty obvious the gender of these champions in the game. This one, a little bit murkier. Anyway, we have a decreased attack on the A1. We have an AoE heal, right? And a perfect veil. With a continuous heal on allies with less than 100% HP. This is on a 4-turn cooldown, but Necro Mutation is just an incredible support ability. It really is. And then we have Spirit Form, revives a single ally 60% HP, fills their turn meter by 60%, and a perfect veil for 3 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. Now, this is a very powerful single target revive. Again, we're looking at 3 things on any revive, right? Or I guess 4 things. How many people are we reviving? How many champions, right? Number 2 is how much HP are they going to have? Number 3 is how much turn meter are they going to have? And number 4 is what other survivability can they add, right? So she's bringing 3 out of the 4 areas, you know, only 1 ally, and the cooldown, I guess, the 4th thing, the 5th thing we look at or whatever, you know? But like, she has a 4-turn cooldown, which is great. She got that 60%, 60%. Anything above 50 is good, right? It's above average. And the perfect veil for 3 turns is incredible. So very, very strong revival there. And then Master of Ghosts gives her the ever-present heals, basically, to anybody under the veil or perfect veil. So I love Rector Droth, a fantastic champion. Number 3 on the list is going to be Ursula the Mourner. So Ursula is, I don't know, I kind of consider her still a recent addition to the game, even though she's probably been in the game for now like a year and a half. Time flies by in Raid. The downside to her is the books, right? There's a lot of them. Thankfully, again, on Requiem, it's a 5-turn cooldown. Always reminds me of that movie Requiem for a Dream. Requiem of a Dream? For a Dream? Either way, it's pretty freaky. Check it out if you haven't, if you're into like really off-the-wall, bizarre movies. We have a decreasing target's turn meter by 10% on the A1. That's solid, right? Solid 55% chance. And then we have an AoE attack with decrease attack and increase attack on a 3-turn cooldown. Again, a lot of books, but it's a solid ability to get the increase and the decrease on the same ability. It does mean she requires accuracy, both for the A1 and the A2. But then we have Requiem. This is probably the strongest, not probably, it's the strongest AoE revival out of every epic champion in the game. Revives all dead allies, and yet she's ranked number 3, so that says a lot about number 2 and number 1, the rest of their kits. Revives all dead allies 75% HP, fills their turn meters by 50%, increased defense and strengthen on all allies on a 5-turn cooldown. What? I mean, you can really put that in the conversation as the strongest AoE revive in the entire game. That's how powerful it is. To get both increased defense and strengthen on the same ability, 3-turn cooldown is incredibly powerful. I mean, everything about this ability is just great. You know, I forgot, frankly, I forgot that it was for 3 turns, and I also forgot that it was a 75% HP. In my head, it was 2 turns and 50% HP. So again, it just goes to show you how good she is. Wow. Also has speed and Doom Tower battles by 24%. That's a very, very good revival. Number 2 on the list, you guys know I'm biased here, it's Tagore. I think that Tagore is probably the best epic champion added this year, the year and a half, last 2 years, I don't know. It's probably since number 1 on our list, right? Just such a good champion, man. We have damage mitigation from all allies with less than 50% HP on this passive. Then he has the AoE revival, 30% HP, but then we get the shield. So again, not the strongest revive, certainly can't hold a candle to Ursula's, but I like the rest of the kit better, right? 5-turn cooldown on the AoE revive, and it uses the shield even if you're not reviving anybody as well, right? When it says also places, similar to Ursula, that means you can use the buffs without having to revive somebody on your team. On the A2 though, charge can't. I always make this stupid dad joke.
Then don't.
Charge can. Charge can. The AoE attack that actually awkwardly does a decent amount of damage too. I say awkward because you wouldn't expect it. But anyway, we get an increased speed and then a heal based on his max HP. Like this is on a 3-turn cooldown, unlike we're in on the Silken, the honorable mention on a 4-turn. So an AoE attack, an increased speed, big version, and then a great heal because it's based on his HP. That's a very, very, very strong A2. It really serving the role of 2 champions on your team, right? The increased speed, a healer, so like a buffer support champion, along with a reviver, damage mitigation, and then this A1 is really good too. It's the magic stick. Attack 1 enemy 2 times. We get the big version of increased defense for 2 turns on the ally with the lowest current HP. So now we're cranking out the increased defenses as well. Big versions on whoever needs it the most in the battle. I love Tagore. You could say it's very close, though, between Tagore and Ursula, because Ursula definitely has the better revival, but I like Tagore's kit a little bit better overall. Also, HP in all battles on the aura, 25%. Really solid aura there for support as well on your team. Plus, that aura helps beef up the shield and the heal in the kit as well, right? Number 1 is going to be, probably to the surprise of nobody, maybe the most legendary-esque epic in the game. It's Godseeker Aniri. She's incredible. She's got the heal on the A1. On the A2, Quest for Meaning, it's an AoE attack, a heal on all allies, 50% of their max HP, which is not preferable, but the rest of it is insane. Decrease the duration of all buffs on all enemies by 1 turn. Increase the duration of all buffs on all allies by 1 turn. There's not that many epics that even have the increased duration of all buffs. Heck, there's not that many champions in the game that have that. It's incredibly valuable for clan boss teams, or really anywhere, right? It just increasing the duration of buffs allow those buffs, like increased defense on a 3-turn cooldown for 2 turns. It allows them to be up basically all the time, right? It's so powerful. One champion can really change the complexion and survivability out of every champion on your team with this increased duration of buffs. Probably one of the most underrated moves in the game for a champion to have, right? Quick side note, but this is a farmable champion. In the very early game, I kind of go for Valerie, right? She's, again, campaign farmable, and you can pick up this Energizing Presence. 3-turn cooldown, increase the duration of all buffs on all allies by 1 turn. Decrease the duration of all debuffs on all allies by 1 turn. It's a really, really good ability, and it has increased attack, the small version, but this is a Very, very strong move. And it's a rare farmable champion. I like to pick her up on new accounts. Just take her to level 50 and build her tanky and just use her for this ability. It's very, very strong. Anyway, I digress back to Godseeker Aniri. So Godseeker, she has that in her kit. That puts her in the conversation with like Sandlash Survivor, and I know I'm forgetting a couple other epics off the top of my head. There's not that many of them. Anyway, on the Rise of Glory, revives a dead ally with 50% HP, fills their turn meter by 50%, resets the cooldown of all of their skills. No legendary champion has this ability. It's only Godseeker Aniri. This is on a 4-turn cooldown. It allows you to do crazy things in areas like Sand Devil's Necropolis, with champions like Ninja, with champions like Walking Tomb Drang. We also have Guardian Angel, increase the amount of healing all allies receive by 10%. And then the active effect, if an ally is about to get killed, it preempts that hit, slaps on a revive on death. Yes, please, Godseeker, you are amazing. You are amazing. Very, very, very good champion there. All right, guys, we're going to do a shout out here, honorable mention in legendaries, and it's going to be to Marichka the Unbreakable. I feel like I got to shout out Marichka. She's not a, she's kind of like Master Butcher, right? She doesn't have an active skill that revives somebody, but revives all dead allies with 50% HP and 75% turn meter whenever this champion is killed. Ooh, it's one of the most broken abilities in Raid Shadow Legends, and the rest of her kit is incredible too. Big heals, cleanses, strengthens, protected, 25% speed in all battles. Yeah, guys, she's amazing, and I felt like I had to put her on the list, or at least give her an honorable mention, because even though she's not, I guess, technically an active reviver, that passive is so strong. So she definitely deserves to be mentioned in the video. Number 5 on the list might surprise some of you guys. It may not, but it's actually Elva Autumnborn. Elva's such a good champion, man. I slept on Elva. I really did. When she was released in the game, I thought she was good, not great, but she is great, not good. That's the truth. First of all, this A1 is so good. Attacks one enemy, places a continuous heal for 2 turns on the ally lowest HP. I know it doesn't sound like much, but this allows her to really duo dungeons, keep herself alive or whoever she's with. Those continuous heals for 2 turns. I mean, you guys know if you've been playing this game for any amount of time, right? Continuous heals heal a ton, right? And when you get the big version for 2 turns on an A1 like this, it's just very, very powerful. Same thing with Tawana Rock, very powerful. On the A2, Nature's Path, it's a 3-turn cooldown, 100% cleanse, and then a block buffs, debuffs, and then an increased speed. This is a very, very good ability, guys. Block debuffs and increased speed are 2 of the most essential buffs to have, and then a 3-turn cleanse as well. It's really good. And then we have Sprouting Season, her revival. Revives a target ally with 40% HP, 50% turn meter, plays an increased defense and an increased attack on that ally for 2 turns. This is on a 3-turn cooldown. Very powerful single target revive. And then Leaf Shroud heals each ally by 10% of their max HP at the start of their turn. Plays a perfect veil for 1 turn on the ally with the lowest HP at the end of this champion's turn. That's a very, I keep saying the same thing. That's a very powerful ability, guys. I mean, this is a great healing ability. It's kind of similar to a Syl the Drakes in some ways, similar to a Siphi the Lost Bride as well. Just really good. Speed in all battles by 19% as well. 110 base speed. Again, we love to see a lot of speed on our revivers. Elva, I mean, you could argue she belongs even higher on the list. All right, number 4, guys. Number 4 is going to be none other than Pythion. Pythion is a beast. A previous fusion champion in the game. We have heals ally lowest HP by 5% of this champion's max HP after each hit on the A1. Not bad. Then we have a full cleanse on a 3-turn cooldown. Then a heal by 10% of their max HP. Not the biggest heal in the world, but a heal nonetheless. And we get an extra heal for each debuff removed. Not only that, but we're also placing a block debuffs on all allies for 2 turns. So it's not quite as good, I would argue, as Elva's A2. We don't have the increased speed, but we do have that heal on there as well, and it's just a really powerful ability. You know what? It's actually probably unfair to even compare, right? Because that heal is definitely meaningful added to the kit, but Elva has it on her passive. Either way, The reason I have Pythion over Elva, you might be asking, is because we have an AoE revive in Pythion's kit, and it's on a 4-turn cooldown. Very good. 50% HP, 50% turn meter, and a strengthen on all allies for 2 turns. Plus, we have damage mitigation on overlay passive. Allies receive 5% less damage from skills for each buff on them, stacks up to 25%. I mean, you can do some disgusting things with Pythion and Duchess on the same team, or just Pythion all by himself. That revival and that passive really, for me, puts him over Elva. But what a great champion, huh? If you went for that fusion, there's no doubt that you use Pythion in multiple areas of the game. I run Pythion personally in a bolster set for the arena, but I also run him in that same build for Hydra Clan Boss. There's a really, really solid reviver and cleanser and block debuff champion. And being Force Affinity, so good in the arena, right? It's just tough to kill Pythion. He feels even more tanky than he ought to be, at least for me. It's one of those champions, you know? All right, number 3, Mighty Ukko. So I'm putting Mighty Ukko rather high on the list. One of the things I love about Mighty Ukko is with the polymorph nerf, you're seeing a less of it than we used to. Quite a bit less, because people who had polymorph on all their Duchesses and Siphies and all the champions with no accuracy have removed it. Thus, Mighty Ukko has even more value. And you can still use polymorph on Mighty Ukko if you want to, because you're going to build him, obviously, with a lot of accuracy anyway. So in AoE ×2, we get the block, removing 2 buffs on each hit, 2 chances for a stun, block buffs and decrease accuracy if there are no buffs after the attack. Ooh, it's one of the stronger abilities out there for the arena, for Hydra, for really anywhere in the game, right? Another AoE with the big version of decrease attack on the A1 at a 75% land rate, really solid. And then we have the revives all dead allies, 40% HP and block damage for 1 turn. Not the strongest revival in the game, but it's a 4-turn cooldown, and you get the block damage, which helps, you know, heal them in the interim. We also have an increased speed. It's one of those moves that increased speed will be used even if there's no dead allies, which sometimes I just turn it off and I take it off auto and go manual if I really need the revive. And then we have Totem Warden, a really, really good passive that people kind of overlook sometimes. First of all, a lot of base speed too, 109. 50% chance of stealing a random buff from a random enemy each time a buff is placed on the enemy team. We'll only attempt to steal 1 buff of each type placed. And all stolen buffs become protected. Dude! That's a very, very annoying and strong passive. So unique. It really puts Mighty Ukko, for me, over the top as just one of the better champions out there in the game. Number 2, these are not going to surprise anybody here, guys. Number 2 is going to be Duchess. Duchess still has it. Spectral Rebirth revives all dead allies on a 4-turn cooldown with 70% HP, a veil on all allies, and a continuous heal for 2 turns on all allies. You can put this right up there with, I guess, Ursula as probably one of the strongest AoE revival, or the strongest AoE revive in the game. On the passive, Ethereal Ways decrease the damage all allies take from AoE attacks by 25%, 15 from bosses. A tremendous, tremendous passive. One of the strongest passives out there in the game. Shroud of Souls. We have a block debuff, an increased attack, and a perfect veil on a 4-turn cooldown. Really good. You build her nice and tanky, and then nobody can target anybody but her on your team. You can build her in Stone Skin in the arena, and then she basically gives immunity, single target immunity to everybody and herself as well. You can't damage her. She's bringing block debuffs, which is valuable. Perfect veil, which is valuable. Also mitigating more AoE attacks by 15% damage on top of her passive, right? And then the increased attack is the perfect setup to any attack-based nuker in the arena. She's the perfect complement to your nuker in the arena, but of course you can use her anywhere, not just the arena, obviously. She has a shield on the A1, which is handy as well. And then number 1, and of course speed in all battles by 19%. Number 1 is going to be, it really opened my eyes, guys, honestly, seeing Siphi's use and win rates inside Live Arena. I did a video, top 10 champions in Live Arena. Siphi was unbelievable, the most used champion in Live Arena in gold tier and above. And she also has an insanely high win rate too. And ban rate. I mean, it says something about a champion, right? She's 114 speed. That A1, makes her just one of the most competent control champions in the arena. Having that sleep that is irresistible, it just allows you to control the match unlike any other champion in the game, right? On the A2, we have block debuffs, we have turn meter increase, we have increased defense, we have increased speed, we got all of that stuff all on one ability. And then the revive, single target, 4-turn cooldown, 55% HP, and a full turn meter. 100% turn meter. Also increase attack and increase crit rate on that ally for 2 turns. And then the heals each ally by 10% of their max HP at the start of their turn, a la Elva, right? And then we have a 40% chance, make it a 50-win book to removing freeze and fear debuffs from each ally at the start of their turn. It's a great, almost forgotten part of her passive. And then fully cleanses Rhodos when he's on the same team. So again, guys, resists in all battles by 80 as well. Siphi, for me, is still one of the strongest champions, if not the strongest support champion inside the game, and I'm still giving her the #1 spot in terms of the best overall revivers, including the rest of their kit as well in the game. So there you have it, guys. Those are my list of the top 15 revivers, or top 5 in each faction. Who did I snub? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching all the way till the end. I appreciate you guys, and as always, take care, guys.